Hi, and welcome back to the Trucking Scribe. It's Esther. Today we're working on origami dresses. I made one from a magazine, one from our digital that we're using, the Piece of God Gold Kit. I made another one from some scraps. I sewed and decorated this one a little bit. Talking about Romans chapter 3, and we're still in the first chapter of the Roman Empire in the New Testament. I did struggle with trying to talk about the Bible study and showing you how to do the origami. So I will leave a timestamp so you can go straight to the origami dress if you would like. Otherwise, I'm going to do the Bible study first and then do the dress. I hope you enjoy the video. Go check out my creative team and hit the like button, subscribe button if you're new here, because I'd sure like you to come back again. Thank you. And I pulled out my notes from this week or over the weekend. See, my journal is growing. It's looking good. So today we're still talking about Romans and the book, The Roman Empire in the New Testament, is also another one we're looking at. So let me see where I'm at. And I am looking at Romans, the book of Romans, to go along with this study. And we've kind of looked at chapters 1 and 2. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about this week, or today on 3. So basically Paul is saying that just because you're Jew does not make you any more special than anybody else, at least the way I'm seeing it, because he says, should we conclude that we Jews are better than others? No, not at all, for we already shown that all people, whether Jew or Gentiles, are under the power of sin. As the scripture says, no one is righteous, not even one. No one is truly wise, no one is seeking God. All have turned away, all have become useless. No one does, not a single good. Their talk is foul, like the stench from an open grave. Their tongues are filled with lies. Snake venom drips from their lips. Their mouths are full of cursing and bitterness. They rush to commit murder. Destruction and misery always follow them. They don't know where to find peace. They have no fear of God at all. So this just talks about all the sins that people commit and how it makes them feel, and that none of us are perfect. Not the first person. We all lie. We all have hate. Destruction and misery do follow us. So a lot of times we don't know the peace of God. So right here it says they don't know where to find peace. And that's, to me, is everybody, including myself. They have no fear of God at all. But that's why Jesus came, to save us from our own sin, because he was pure. So down here it says, obviously the law applied to whom it was given, for its purpose is to keep people from having excuses and show that the entire world is guilty before God. No one can ever be made right with God by doing what the law commands. The law simply shows us how sinful we are. But now God has shown us a way to be made right with him without keeping the requirements of the law. As was promised in the writing of Moses and the prophets long ago, we are made right with God by placing our faith in Jesus Christ. And this is true for everyone who believes, no matter who we are. For everyone has sinned, we all fall short of God's glorious standard. Yet God, in his grace, freely makes us right in his sight. He did this through Jesus Christ when he freed us from the penalty of our sins. For God presented Jesus as the sacrifice for sin. People are made right with God when they believe that Jesus sacrificed his life, shedding his blood. This sacrifice shows that God has been being fair when he held back and did not punish those who sinned in past times. So there, Paul is talking about the Hebrew Bible. A lot of people know it as the Old Testament. For he was looking ahead, so God was looking ahead and including them in what he would do in this present time. So even the people that were alive before Jesus came and died, they are still saved by Jesus. God did this to demonstrate his righteousness, for he himself is fair and just, and he makes sinners right in his sight when they believe in Jesus. So Paul is saying it doesn't matter who you are, if you are poor and have no place to live, if you're rich and you live in a mansion, you are still in God's blessing. So this week in our book, The Roman Empire, emperors secured by claiming favor of the gods. So that is, I think I talked about this the other day. I may have. So it is a small g, it's not the capital G. Their imperial theology proclaimed that Rome was chosen by the gods, notably Jupiter, to rule an empire without end. So this came from Virgil, Aeneid, and here's the verse. I've read it, but it's been a while. The emperor and elite members maintained power through warriorship, tax collection, administrator, patronage, judges, and priests. And I have, so like this here is quoted directly from the book. Some of this other is just highlights. So what I'm doing today, and I think I showed you, I probably showed you in the opening, we're going to make some cute little origami dresses while I am discussing that. So I have a square. This is a 5.5 by 5.5. I'm going to fold it in half, and I want my brown side on the outside. I could do the purple, but I've got a lot of purple going on. So then I'm going to fold it where it goes to the middle line, and I'm going to fold it again to that middle line. So contributions to society were not for the good of the people, but they were done to elevate the elite while showing the power that the elite had. So when they had their big balls and their big parties, you know, it was more for the upper class than for the slaves and the peasants. So 97% of the population was non-elite. So slaves would work for fields, but they could also be doctors, teachers for the elite. So they taught the elite people, they taught their children. There was a high infant death. Only 50% of those who were born alive made it to the age of 10. And adults who were non-elite slaves, farmers and all, they only lived to 30 to 40 years old. So what I have done here is I've taken, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I want to, so I've taken my square, I folded it in half, and then I folded it back on itself where I have 4 creases. And I am going to go ahead and ink this up so you can see it a little better. So you can choose to ink or not. This one is, so this one you will see the side too. So I have one line here, one there, and one there. So it's divided up in fourths. So half, and then half of that, and half of that. So now what I'm going to do is take this line and bring it to this line. Just like, let me see if I can do it. Just like that. And then I'm going to take this line and I'm going to bring it to that line too. Once you get started working on these and you make a few, they're really pretty simple. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it over, and you see this like a little, if you hold it like this with your two end papers, it looks like a T. So here is a point and here is a point that is folded in, and this is folded in. No, I'm not making much sense of this today. So then you're going to fold it roughly in half. If you have a top or bottom, which this is the top, I fold it in half, then I'm going to fold it back again. So now I have a Z. Nice and simple Z. So this part goes up towards the top. You're folding, when you fold it in half, you just fold the top part back up and leave maybe 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 an inch. And I'm inking as I go because that way you can see it better. Then I'm going to turn this over. This is my top. Where I have learned to do this better, let me ink this so you can see it. Maybe I can see it too. It's for me, you can do one at a time like this, but I'm finding for me, if I do them both at the same time, that my little top is coming out neater. So what you could do is just pull one down to this line, and the other one down to that line. Then you have these two little flaps. So you pick it up, and you want to push, open them back up, and then you're going to push that one in, and this one in, so that you have a triangle. And I'm going to make another one of these so you can see it. But see what I did was where I had these folds right here and right there, I'm taking my finger and I'm pushing that one in and that one in, so that now I have a point coming up here. I'm going to take the point and I'm going to fold it down. So now we have a nice little square. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to take my finger again and I'm going to fold this over to meet this line right here. And there's actually a little ledge there. Feels like a ledge. It may be the paper. And I'm using my bone folder just so it can fold easier and more crisp. You don't have to. So that is the collar of the dress. And you can fiddle with it. Mine's a little off, so I could fiddle with it and get it perfect if I wanted. So now we have the top of the dress. We're going to flip it over to where the top is up here, away from me. This is going to be the skirt, so I'm going to take and I'm going to push this over to make the skirt pop out. And really, you can just kind of hold it right here. So now you have another fold right there. So what we did was we took and kind of held that down and just pulled this skirt part out and made a seam. Same thing with the other side, pull it out. So now what you're going to do is flip it over. And you're going to take this part right here and you're going to fold it on this line that's going up right here. Fold the whole page over to right there and stop right there. Which then you're going to take and fix this so this kind of ends in a point down here and this kind of lays down. This is where I have the most trouble so far, and with this little fold. So I get the part where you fold it over, but this section where it comes to the point down here, I'm still struggling with that. So if you have any ideas or if you know how to maybe get that a little bit better, easier, let me know. So now that you've folded that, you can ink that side. So you want to turn it back over like this. Now you're going to take and put your fingers somewhere around in here, and you're just going to hold that and fold that to where it meets. And then you can fold the other side to where it meets there too. Let's see. They don't have to be exactly perfect. No, I do want that one a little bit lower. So now we have our beautiful little dress. You got the sleeves and the dress. So I'm going to set that one up there, and we'll try another one. So again, I'm going to fold it in half. Then take this and fold it to that next fold in the half. And fold this in one more time. So let me take a second and give you a little more information. You may have already read it. Urban life was crowded, filthy, rat-infested, bad water, diseases, feces from humans and animals. There was a food shortage all the time, and there was irregular work for the rural farmers. They had the same issues, but they also had poor crops, which meant immediate food shortage, low seeds for the next year's planting. People traded goods and services. They didn't have money like we exchange money today. They did have money in a sense, but it was more for the upper class and the elite. So if I needed my horse, well, you probably wouldn't have a horse if you were a peasant or a slave. You might. So if I needed some shoes on my horse, and I don't know much about horses, so y'all forgive me. The blacksmith would put the shoes on the horse, and instead of paying in money, the farmer might pay in wheat, maybe bring a chicken, or some of the harvest. Their wife might bake some bread, just different things that allow them to be able to pay without the actual exchange of money. And if the crops didn't make it, they were forced into the cities to find work. And when the peasants could not pay their taxes, or loans, the empire would take their land if they own the land. So this was the ones that might actually own some. The New Testament writings can, in part, be thought of as hidden transcripts. They were not written. So this here part, Paul wrote his letters. They were not like published like a newspaper today. They were just letters that were read to the church. It wasn't addressed to any special person, or they weren't public writings targeted to the elite or addressed to any person who wants to read them. They were written from and for communities of followers of Jesus. Jesus' followers were committed to Jesus' teaching, often dissented or disagreed with how Rome organized society. Christians looked for alternative ways of being human and how to live within a community that represented God. So that's kind of what we're talking about with Paul this week in Romans. We've been talking about Paul, as he's talking about how to live within a community of different people. So Christians therefore live in a smaller community that did not follow the dominant or submissive ways of Rome. So while they lived in Rome and they lived by the laws of Rome, they also had the laws of God. So Christians seek different perspectives on understanding the world of living and existing through a new way of life while living within Rome and its dominance. There's a give and take in the community that's important. It helps to strengthen the bond of God. I have about 15 minutes left of where I'm talking to you guys about the Roman Empire book, and I think I show another dress, how to make another dress, but something happened with my volume where for 15 minutes it keeps repeating the same word. So I'm going to stop the video here and say thank you for coming, thank you for listening, and I hope that I've helped you in some kind of way, give you some new information. I hope that you will go check out my creative team. There's 9 of us women that have been working on this. We have quite a few videos up already. Last time I checked, there was about 60. So I hope that you'll check them out and leave me a comment, even if you just put an emoji down there and it's a heart or a car or truck or books. It doesn't matter. Just let me know you've been here, and I will definitely come and check your channel out. Thank you and have a great day.